Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin Van Churen.
And my name's Patrick Ferry.
And as always, welcome to our show. So, guys, we're finally both back. And, Pat, I think there's only one thing to say. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, awesome. Pleasure being back. Thanks for holding down the Young American Abroad fort while I was gone across the pond. But, I was busy over in England scouting American players in the championship in the Premier League.
Yeah, did you actually go to any games? I guess I didn't ask you that off camera.
Unfortunately, a lot of I wanted to go to Liverpool games because I'm a fan, but it was sold out. But I ended up going to a lot of pubs, and pretty much every day there was a championship, League One, League Two, Premier League game on at all the pubs. So it was a great environment to be in for football over there.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back, and on this side of the pond, and we can talk about all our bright, promising young players as opposed to the English young players that
that's right
going on right now. It would be nice to have all those prospects in our pool too. But so today we want to talk about a player who had a little bit of roadblock in his good form, but never fear, he's still our best player.
That's right. Never fear, Austin. And heading over to Germany, one of our Schalke Americans started and played the full 90. And I bet you couldn't guess what position he played, and it wasn't goalkeeper.
And finally, we want to finish talking about a young center back who has finally broken into the starting 11 for the first team of his club. So definitely don't want to miss that. All that and more in this episode.
So, guys, we're going to start over in the Premier League, like with Austin said earlier, with Christian Pulisic. Who ended up starting and playing the full 90 in an unfortunate Chelsea loss. It was 3-1 to Everton. So obviously that came at a little bit of a shock with Everton, having that horrible game against Liverpool, and then their coach. I guess overall just a really bad season. They were towards the bottom of the table, and but the coach fired. It just seemed like a mess, and looks like Chelsea kind of came out flat-footed, and just going with the team and Pulisic struggles, they were pinned back very early, so Pulisic wasn't getting the chances, Austin, that he typically finds himself in running at players. And you can see some of the confidence and the team's confidence wavering for the past few Premier League games. They caught fire, the last month or two, and propelled them in the fourth in the league, which is great. But they've kind of took a little, step back, or just took their foot off the gas pedal, I guess you could say. In one of the plays specifically, Pulisic lost the ball, I think 30 or 40 yards from goal in the back, and took this crazy deflection, and then Zuma made a huge mess of it, and then the keeper, obviously, Kepa, one of the last goals, it was a pretty disastrous miscommunication with Zuma. So all in all, Pulisic was a little inconsistent that game, and as Chelsea was, but so I mean, there's a lot to take from that game, and a lot they can build on, and rest assured, there is still a gap, Austin, between the fourth and fifth. So they are in that Champions League spot.
Yeah, it wasn't the best game from Chelsea, and I think you do have to give props though to Everton in the game. They came out,
Good point.
Firing, and with that new manager, I'm not exactly sure what his name is, but he was definitely a big presence in their win. He was going ham on the sideline for each goal that they scored, and you could definitely tell he was fired up, and he got the team fired up for the game. So, some fair play to them. They played a lot better than their position in the table. And, I don't think it was a horrible game from Chelsea. I definitely think they did a bad job. When danger was created in the game by Everton, they were a little slow to react. And I think, they got burned on at least two of the goals. And it just was, not the best performance from them. But I don't think it's, something to be completely scared about. They will play Leal coming up this week in the Champions League. Need to get a win in that game because right now they're tied on points, I believe, with Valencia.
Yeah, it's pretty close in that Champions League group there.
Yeah, so maybe that's weighing on their mind as well. And like Pat said, they're in fourth right now comfortably. Obviously, not good to lose a game, and not good to get taken off guard, maybe. But it happens. They're a young team, so we'll see if they come out rusty against Leal, and it's 3 games in a row now where they're really not looking their best. Then maybe it's cause for concern. And, with that being said, I feel like we're getting away from Christian a little bit, but
yeah,
Christian, Christian was par with the team. He didn't play great. He wasn't horrible on the day, but just didn't look as confident as we've seen him in the past few games where he's really turned it on. And it was definitely kind of not a big step back, but definitely a step back from what we've seen of him recently. So, hopefully, I think he'll start again. This was kind of one of those games where Frank Lampard might, say certain people have to prove themselves again, and maybe he'll start a few players over the players who played in this game just to kind of, give them motivation to get back in the first team. But I think Christian will still start against Leal, just because he provides Chelsea the best attacking option going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Moment. So yeah, again, not a bad game from Christian, but definitely not. I guess I should say it's probably his worst game since he really has taken the reins at Chelsea and really turned it on and looked like a player that everyone's talking about. So not.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, also, I think players, kind of go through those phases, and he worked so hard when he was out of the team just to get to this spot, and hopefully, you can't get too complacent at Chelsea, especially a club of that magnitude. And I'm sure he realizes that, and the team as well. With a few players coming back from injuries and things like that, and competition just so intense in all positions for the team. He still has those 6 goals and 6 assists throughout all competitions. So I think we're talking off camera, not so bad for someone that's kind of just in the last few months really broke in and has been starting consistently. Yeah,
it's definitely, really impressive so far in the season. If you said in September, by December, 9th today, we're filming, that he has 6 goals and 6 assists, then I think we all would have, gladly have taken that. And, we really would have been excited hearing that. So, let's see what he can do for the rest of the season. But I think so far so good for Christian. Yeah, man. I think, there's a lot to look forward to. And I know, shifting over here to Germany, Austin, there's a lot to look forward to this particular player and the club, especially with the year they've been having. Yeah, and that would be Weston McKennie. So kind of like you said, Pat, in the beginning, Weston was played out of position in this game. He started for Schalke at center back. So, we saw him all over the field last year. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. This was a game where it really didn't for Schalke. Not a horrible game from Weston, but Schalke did lose this game 2-1 to Bayer Leverkusen. And I just, from watching this game, it just never seemed like Weston was very comfortable in the game. At times he was kind of slow to react to some of the dangerous moments in the game. And, he just wasn't as sharp as I feel like I've seen him in the past, and even in some of the games last year where he played as a center back, he seemed a little bit more confident in those games as compared to this one. So, it is what it is. It's hard to really take too much stock in these games where he plays a position other than center mid, because I think we've just seen so far now in his career that he's definitely not a center back, and he can fill in the position, do admirably, but it's hard to really put too much stock into those performances. So I completely agree with you, Austin. It just, I don't know, it's tough. I'd rather see him, play in the midfield, but Schalke have some injuries, so. Yeah, and I know they have some injuries here and there, and like you said, kind of has to fill in, and he's a player that's very versatile and can fill in different positions. But like you said, just would be nice to
maybe selfish for U.S. fans, but just have him in the midfield and find someone else to fill in those other positions.
Yeah. I mean, Schalke. Yeah, Schalke have a little bit of a weird roster right now. There's some players kind of in flux with them that it seems like David Wagner doesn't want to rely upon. And yeah, for those reasons, Weston's been called on to play multiple positions this year, and it's good that he's getting on the pitch. But at the same time, yeah, it's not helping him any in his progression. I think that's kind of, Pat, I think the thing that we really wanted to see from him this year is just him taking that next step as a center mid and kind of honing those skills as compared to kind of being a Swiss Army knife and
That's right. That's right, Austin.
Says.
Yeah, just because exactly what you mentioned, just to kind of see him, fix some of those flaws he has in his game, and like we were talking off camera. And again, he's super young and still early, but maybe you don't necessarily see him as a player at a Madrid, Bayern, Barca, PSG, things like that. But he still could be, a very, very good player. And not to say that the peak is Schalke, but maybe another club at a next step for him. But if you can kind of hone in on those mistakes and just, like you said, just mentally just become, more aware and just really, really focus on, playing those balls at the right times, knowing when to pick and choose the moments better, just because I know that's a huge concern that U.S. fans have been, I think, expressing on Twitter, and I think some different podcasts I've been listening to, just a little bit of the concern with McKennie in that way, because like you said, he offers so much athletically and, has, again, a different skill set that not many people have, especially in our pool, but just then he has those few moments a game where he just kind of has a lapse in concentration.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. He needs to, I guess, commit more to being disciplined in games because, like you said, Pat, he loses concentration from time to time, and that burns him, and it also burns the team he's playing on. And the other thing, kind of like you said too, is just picking his moments of when to show off his flair and to show off his like his one-touch passing, and he really likes to gamble at times, which is great when it pays off. But I'm not sure this year we've seen him kind of take that next step and succeed more often than he did last year. So that gives me a little bit of concern, and I guess that's kind of what we're alluding to with the fact that, or with what we're saying is we're not happy, or maybe not happy, but we're not overly excited to see him playing center back for Schalke. We'd like to see him, play at center mid more and, kind of iron out some of those details in his game and make him, a better midfielder by getting more minutes and working through problems on the field. So, yeah, it's interesting what you're talking about, Pat, about him not being, I guess, like a top tier player. And I agree with you. I don't think. I think right now we might have, there's some players younger in the pool that you could say might have like that top tier potential. But I think right now the two players that I would say, Christian Pulisic, I think could reach that level one day. And from what we saw with Tyler Adams last year at Red Bull or RB Leipzig, he looked like a player who could, play at a very big club. You named like
couldn't agree more with you, Austin.
If those are the clubs you'd go to, but those are the two players in my mind that could only reach that potential. I definitely think from what we've seen this year, and maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I don't think Weston will ever reach that potential. And I don't think, this is tough. I know we talked a little bit off camera, Pat, but I don't think he's even going to really reach that next level either. I haven't really seen that next step from him that tells me he's gonna, be able to play for a team like Chelsea or, even like a Bayern Munich. Maybe Bayern's on that first tier, but even like an Arsenal, Man United. I'm not.
Right.
I think, I think he would look more comfortable, or the potential that I feel like he could reach one day would be on a level of a team kind of like Everton, if they were back to where they usually are in like 6th, 7th in the Premier League, or like a Leicester City. a team like that, which isn't bad. But yeah, I definitely think we're kind of starting to figure out who Weston McKennie is as a player.
We had the same teams too, Austin, in mind. I know we're talking off camera a lot on this topic, but those two teams exactly came to mind with me too, Leicester and Everton. Again, like you said, I still have some high hopes, and he can be a very solid player for club and country. But like you said, maybe not that next level of talent.
Yeah, and it's tough to say that, and by no means is anything solved in his career. But just from what we've seen of him so far this year, and it's really kind of right now is kind of the turning point in his career. I think like if he can use the next part of this year to, like we said, become more disciplined, work on, being smarter with when he's trying to, gamble, and then, trying to play safe. That's kind of the biggest thing he's got to improve in his game. And I don't think I've seen much improvement from last year, to be completely honest, in that aspect of his game. I think, I guess he's grown a little bit more confident in the Schalke team this year. He's still a very good player. It's just, a player that's going to one day play for, a team that's winning championships in their respective league, or a player that's, competing for qualification to the Champions League or Europa League. It's kind of, between those two levels. That's kind of the growth we're talking about. So let us know in the comments, hey, what do you think Weston McKennie's potential will be one day, and kind of explain your reason why, or reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff.
We're rooting for him to prove us wrong, Austin, so let's go.
Yeah, and it's still super and he's a good player, great physically and all that other good stuff. So the future is his. So Pat, let's I guess I'll throw it to you. Where are we going next?
Yeah, so we're heading over to Netherlands, and certainly this, the future is also this player, this outside back, and that is Sergino Dest. Such a bright prospect and someone who's really breaking through at Ajax. And again, the exciting news way back when he finally committed to the U.S., such a huge win in a very long and grueling, I guess you could say, 2019 year for the national team. It's nice to see him, starting and playing the full 90 again. Unfortunately, it was a 2-1 loss to Willem, in Eredivisie, which actually closes the gap at the top. Ajax is only 3 points ahead of AZ Alkmaar, so it's a pretty tight race. But back to the game, Austin. Unfortunately, Sergino Dest was one of the last defenders back, and took down a player in the box, and unfortunately got a yellow card and gave up a penalty. So that was a little rough outing for him. But not the best performance, but nonetheless still in Ajax's plans. There was definitely a time when, right after the announcement, he started playing some games with the U.S. Tagliafico, a really strong and promising left back as well for Ajax, came back healthy. He's had some injury problems, Austin, and he's kind of that first choice. But again, Dest is right behind him, and we've been seeing him kind of being rotated and things like that. And with the potential of Tagliafico leaving and being eyed by some top Premier League clubs, along with most of the Ajax young stars. I think Dest is still in a very good spot, a bright spot. He's got a Champions League game tomorrow, which is Tuesday as we film this on a Monday. Again, just a little disappointing for this game, but still, sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, and that's a big game tomorrow as well. Ajax are in that same group as Chelsea, so I believe they sit in first right now with 10 points. So if they win or get a draw tomorrow against Valencia, then they advance. So,
oh wow,
I'm sure they have an eye on that as well. And we'll see if Sergino plays in that game. He started their last Champions League game, so there's reason to believe he would start this one as well. But he did just play 90 over the weekend, so I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, like I said, also kind of have to monitor. I know that's another team with a lot of good players come up from the academy and just other stars. from abroad. And again, just a great place overall. I don't harp too much on it, but just a great place for him to be at overall. And really excited to just see him. Another player who I think his attacking abilities for a modern fullback is, second to none and just very impressive. And if he can just, work on just the little things in defending and just being able to, know where he's at in the field at all times, I guess positional awareness and not committing some of those kind of clumsy or mental errors like fouls in the box, things like that, clean that up. He's going to be a great, U.S. player for many more years to come.
Yeah. Always. Now he's cap tied, so he's always going to be a
That's
US.
Right.
But yeah. So now moving to our final player for today in this segment, we want to talk about Erik Palmer-Brown. So Erik finally is getting regular starts for Austria Wien over in Austria. And with that, he's also helping them to their best form of the year. So, Austria Wien started off the year pretty bad. They were towards the bottom end of the table. And, over their last 5 games, which Erik Palmer-Brown has started all 5 of those, they've gone 2-2-1. So
not bad, Austin. Not bad.
And 1 loss in 5 games. So, that's helped them climb all the way back up to 7th in the table. So, like, I said, they were down pretty far. And Austria Wien's a team that usually try and give Red Bull Salzburg run for their money, but recently haven't really been able to. So, definitely not the start to the season that they were having in mind. And, it's good to see Erik back in the plans. He didn't get many minutes to start the year, so it definitely looks like he's, proven to the coach there that he's a player that deserves to be on the field. So don't want to get too carried away with it, but definitely good that he's, won that position battle and, looks like a true starter for them now.
Awesome.
So, yeah, Pat, I mean, it's kind of his stop at Austria Wien's kind of started off the way it did at Breda last year in the Eredivisie. But
yeah, there's definitely a strong correlation and very just seems like a concerning pattern now. But again, great to see at the optimistic side of things or positive side of things, excuse me, that he's asserted himself, like you said, in the starting lineup. And funny side note, I was thinking as you brought up RB Leipzig there. Just in the Austrian Bundesliga as well with Jesse Marsch. It'd be kind of funny and a dream if Jesse Marsch ended up approaching EPB and he said, "Hey, come play with Salzburg." Not Leipzig, excuse me, got this confused.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, come join Salzburg. Exciting team, great talent in the Austrian Bundesliga, and that'd just be the dream, Austin. Next step.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think Salzburg have room for him. They have coming up in the wings. So yeah, I mean that'd be cool. But I think right now, Pat, we gotta hope he doesn't fall into the same pattern as last year because
right.
It turned sour last year.
Yeah, things did turn sour. And I guess I wanted to ask, and we were talking again a little bit about this earlier. But Erik Palmer-Brown, again, I think was a player that you mentioned has really good physical size and just kind of the tangibles that you want in a center back. But could we see him once he gets more consistency and isn't kind of bouncing around with loans? Where do we kind of want to see him, I guess, consistently honing his craft in a certain league? Do we put him with a Miazga level in the championship, or is there another team maybe that you think?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see him get consistent first.
Yeah, that's the key, right?
We got to see him get a full year of good play under his belt. But I mean, right now, at one point in time, we thought he was going to be at Porto and potentially go to a really good club. But yeah, definitely his ceiling has fallen a lot. So I think if he could become a consistent starter in the championship in the future, then I think that wouldn't be such a bad career for him or, goal of his right now. Maybe a lower table Premier League club, but we haven't really seen Matt Miazga get there yet. So it's hard to really say that with much confidence, but I think, reaching the heights we thought he was going to reach are very unrealistic right now, even though he is a player for Man City. So I definitely think, if he can, have another goal in mind of, maybe playing one day in the championship with dreams to get promoted to the Premier League or something like that, that might be a better game plan for him. But I think before we get to that point, I think we really need to see him put together a full season. So
right, baby steps, Austin. So still, like you said, young center back. He still has some time to grow. So not quite in the prime yet.
Yeah, he's only 22, which I didn't really think about, or I guess I didn't realize. I thought he was 23, closer to 24, but I think his birthday is in April, I want to say. So he's still midway through age 22. So definitely not, his career is not set yet. So just wanted to throw that out there. A good example would be Miles Robinson last year, who, was at United, was not playing consistently at all for Atlanta United. And then
now look at him.
Frank de Boer put faith in him, and he's really turned into a good-looking center back, and potentially could have been a player that was that good, but we just didn't see because he wasn't given the opportunity. So, things change quickly in soccer. So
yeah, it does.
They change quickly for Erik Palmer-Brown, but let's hope we can, continue to stay the course at Vine and help them climb up the table some more. So, yeah, Pat, do you have anything else to add today?
I think we kind of summed up pretty well. Again, some not so great performances, but again, a lot of starts, some full 90s. We just need to get more minutes for these young American players under their belts.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's head over to Quick Kicks.
And now, I've been waiting, a few weeks now to say this part.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. It's my favorite time of the show. I know it's Austin's, and I hopefully think it's yours as well, all you YA viewers. It's none other than Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
So to start off Quick Kicks today, we have Gio Reyna, who made the bench for BVB for the first time this year. So unfortunately, he didn't get to play in this game against Dusseldorf that Dortmund ended up winning 5-0. But really exciting to see him on the bench for the first team, Pat.
That's great news, and he's getting closer every game, it seems like. And now heading over to the championship, a midfielder that we both like and would like to see him with the national team more, Duane Holmes, started and played 90 minutes. An unfortunate 1-0 loss for Derby County against Blackburn Rovers.
And going over to Germany, we have Chris Richards, who started and played all 90 minutes, but at right back, and that was for Bayern 2 in their 3-2 loss.
And heading over to Italy in Serie B, Andrija Novakovich actually started and played the full 90, which is great, in a 2-0 Frosinone win against Juve Stabia. Wanted to say it in a good Italian accent there.
Nice. And Uly Llanez started and played 88 minutes for Wolfsburg's U19s, and that was in a 2-1 win over FC St. Pauli's U19s.
Awesome, good to hear. And heading over back to the championship, Matt Miazga unfortunately only played the first 45 and then was subbed out in a 3-2 loss for Reading against Birmingham City.
And Richy Ledezma started and played all 80, or not all, but played 80 minutes for Young PSV, and that was in their 1-1 draw.
And back to the championship, Antonee Robinson started and played full 90, and an unfortunate 2-1 loss to Luton Town for Wigan. So hopefully Wigan can pick things back up.
And going over to Denmark, the Hobros were lonely this weekend as Christian was the only Hobro, and he started and played 90 minutes in their 0-0 draw. So, good for Christian to keep getting minutes.
Right. The Hobros are always drawing, Austin, so hopefully all of them will play and they can win some more games. And great. Heading over to Spain, Konrad de la Fuente for Barcelona's Juvenil A. They got a 2-0 win, and he scored his 6th goal of the season, of the campaign here. So we'd like to see him make that Barca B jump soon here.
And Patrick Leal scored yet another goal this weekend, and that was for Sporting CP's U17s. So congrats to Patrick, and we're keeping an eye on you.
And we have Indiana Vassilev for Aston Villa. The U23 has actually scored an exciting brace in a 5-3 win. So congrats to Indy there.
And to finish off quick kicks today, I want to let you guys know about a move that happened, and that would be Sebastian Saucedo, who just transferred from Real Salt Lake over to Pumas in Liga MX. So another player we can cover now in Mexico. So looking forward to seeing what Sebastian can do in 2020, and here's to hoping we talk a lot more about him. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
And as always, make sure to check out our awesome social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, always putting out great content for you guys to look at. Yeah,
it's great to have you back too, Pat. I know I said last week you got engaged too, so definitely like the video even more.
Yeah, make sure to like that. So sorry I was a little preoccupied there, but again, we're back from England and ready to roll with the American players here back in the States. But it was a great trip, Austin. So wish you could have came.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, heck, that's all this great coverage and all these good things that our young players are doing is leading up to one final thing. And that would be one day we will win the World Cup.